Good evening, all. Tonight, as you know from my previous videos, I am an aficionado of film noir, and I particularly like The Big Sleep, which of course was adapted from a novel by Raymond Chandler of the same title about his fictional detective, Phillip Marlowe. I've watched pretty much all the films that star the character of Phillip Marlowe. Some of them I enjoyed more than others. Um, and I just saw one that was made in 2022, which I'd heard of but I hadn't seen, and that is it's just titled Marlowe, and it stars rather improbably Liam Neeson as Philip Marlowe. The reason I say improbably is Marlowe is supposed to be a Los Angeles private detective. Liam Neeson is Irish, and doesn't seem like he'd be a good choice to play this character. Surprisingly enough, I thought he did a rather good job, and uh, he plays the character so well that you'd kind of forget that he's not American. Um, the film also stars Diane Kruger as a character named Claire Cavendish, Jessica Lange as her mother, who's supposed to be sort of a fading movie star. It takes place in a fictional 1939, and Danny Hudson as a shady character called Floyd Hansen, who runs something called the La Corbata Club. Um, uh, Alan Cumming as a great kind of sort of a gay gangster character called Lou Hendricks, who also works for or in concert with this guy Floyd Hansen. He's actually kind of the competitor of Floyd Hansen. I'll explain that a bit later. And he's hired by Francois Arnaud plays a guy named Nico Peterson. Daniela Melchior plays his sister, Lynn Peterson, and Colm Meaney plays Bernie Oles, who is the assistant district attorney, as we found out in The Big Sleep. Um, there's a couple other characters, and I'll get to them a little bit later. Um, it's a story that is not adapted from a Raymond Chandler novel. It was adapted from a novel written by another author who uh, was basically writing this as a not really a pastiche, more of a tribute to to Raymond Chandler's work, and used the character Raymond Philip Marlowe. I don't know if he was licensed to or not. Um, uh, John Banville was that person's name. He was wrote under his pen name Benjamin Black, and the book is called The Black-Eyed Blonde, which was written in 2014. Um, the plot is kind of convoluted, but one expects that with a Philip Marlowe tale because they're all convoluted. But that's one of the things I enjoyed about the character so much, that he goes through so many twists and turns in every case that leaves you shaking your head, wondering what the hell happened. But and this movie is no different. But it's really quite good, I thought. I disagree with the critics who didn't like it. They thought it was flat, that it didn't come, it was too cliche, that it came off across as hollow. Um, yeah, a little bit. I can see that. For one thing, it wasn't shot in Los Angeles, and that becomes apparent throughout the film. Part of it was shot, I think, in Barcelona. So the outside exterior scenes and the interior scenes were mostly shot in Ireland. I guess because they had to work around Liam Neeson's schedule, which is understandable. But the plot is this character, Claire Cavendish, played by Diane Kruger, hires Marlowe to find her missing boyfriend, Nico Peterson. It turns out, as he goes about his investigation, last time he was seen was at this place, the Corbata Club, which is a private club in the fictional Bay City, which is a location from Chandler's earlier stories, which he was developing the character of Marlowe. At the time, he was not known as Marlowe. He went through a couple of different names. One was John Dalmas, Dalmas. The other name was just named Carmody, Carmady. But they're not exactly the same character. But anyway, they lived in this Bay City, which is supposedly Long Beach, basically. It's between Los Angeles and San Francisco, and I believe Chandler said it was supposed to be Long Beach. But in this film, it's adjacent to Los Angeles. It takes place, like I said, in 1939, October 1939, and so World War II has just started a month earlier, and there's war jitters and worries, and are we going to become involved, etc. But she fires him to find this guy Nico Peterson, and as he starts investigating and he meets with this guy Floyd Hansen at the club, first he's rejected. They won't let him into the La Corbata Club because it's exclusive and you have to have a membership, and all that stuff. He's kind of chased off by a couple of Hispanic gardeners and threatened with a pair of shears, and punches one of them out, and the other one, throws him off the property, I think. But he eventually, Hansen agrees to meet with him, tells him that Nico Peterson's dead, that he was killed in a hit-and-run accident, which was very horrible. His head was basically turned to pulp, and his body was identified by his sister at the morgue, so they know it's him. But Diane Kruger later tells him that it's not true because she saw him in Tijuana like a week ago from when she hired Marlowe. And that he asked, well, what was he doing down there? She said, well, he collects things mostly, for movies. He worked, Nico Peterson, as a set dresser on movies, so he would go and find interesting pieces. And apparently he was in Tijuana for that purpose. And, she saw him, and it's interesting to note that one of the things that he had in his car when she saw him was a large, rather colorful sculpture of a mermaid, and that figures into the story later. Then he goes. Marlowe is trying to figure out, what's going on. He visits Nico Peterson's grave, which he was cremated, and he's in a niche somewhere. And while he's investigating, this woman shows up and puts a little plaque, not a plaque, a note on his niche, and he tries to track her down. She runs away. That's turns out is his sister, and he's trying to investigate her, and as he's doing this, he arranges to meet her later at the Corbata Club, and but they're observed by Hansen. And when he tries to meet her, two men try to ambush him, and he punches them out, basically. Then he meets with Claire's mother, who is this character, Dorothy Quincannon, who is, like I said, supposed to be Jessica Lange. Is supposed to be an old, sort of fading movie star. She's dating a guy who is going to become the ambassador to England, and is very wealthy, and apparently there's some sort of attraction between both Jessica Lange and this character and Diane Kruger. And apparently Diane Kruger is married. She tells Marlowe this when she first meets him. She says, my husband and I have an arrangement. And he says, well, what does that mean? Is your husband homosexual? And she says, no, he's not that interesting. He likes waitresses, horses, and spending my money. And later on, Dorothy Quincannon says, no, it's my money, actually, that he's spending. But the implication is the same. The husband is kind of I don't really think he was a necessary character because he doesn't really do much. At one point, he insults Marlowe or throws a drink in his face or something, but you're like, what? Why was that necessary? It really wasn't necessary to have that character at all. This story would have worked just as well had the Claire character not been married. But that's a minor, technicality. Again, getting into the plot, and I'm not going to give this away completely because it's interesting enough that I think you should watch it. It's available for free on Tubi. That's where I found it. It's well shot. It's well decorated. As I said, it wasn't filmed in Los Angeles. It was filmed in Barcelona and in Ireland. But it still looks like 30s Los Angeles. They have I like some of the nice details that they got in there. Like Marlowe is still driving his 1936 Oldsmobile, which Humphrey Bogart drove in The Big Sleep. And that's in the book, too. I think he was supposed to drive a car that was slightly older than the time period because he couldn't afford something better. He only made $25 a day plus expenses. The senator's name, the name is O'Reilly. And anyway, Marlowe goes through this convoluted thing uh, Lou Hendricks picks him up, and he has this chauffeur named Cedric. And Cedric is a wonderful character. He's played by a guy, and you have to forgive me if I pronounce this name wrong. It's because it's Afrikaans. Adawele Akinnouue-Agbaje. And I think that's correct. Anyway, he's a great character, and he really plays the role well. And this character, played by expertly by Alan Cumming, who is one of my favorite actors. I thought he was wonderful as Nightcrawler in the X-Men movies, and he's really good in this too. Tells him that Nico Peterson was supposed to be somebody who smuggled cocaine up from Tijuana for him and has absconded with some of it. And when Marlowe is trying to locate, meets with the sister, he's ambushed by two men who are Mexican men who are looking for someone called Serena, and they punch. He knocks one of them out, but the other one knocks him out. And then Lynn is taken captive, and it turns out later she's been rather horribly murdered, raped and murdered, and burned with cigarettes, tortured. It's a really horrible death. But anyway, Marlowe then goes to Bernie Olds, and he wants him to help him search for Lynn. Cavendish, or Claire, invites Marlowe to visit her and attempts to seduce him, and he rejects that seduction. He does dance with her, but he won't go any further. She asks him why. He says, "Because you're too beautiful, and I'd lose myself." And I thought that was a great line. That was a very Marlowe-esque line, which Neeson delivered expertly, I thought. Again, I wanted to emphasize he really played the character well, and you completely forget that he's not American because he just submerges himself into the Marlowe character, and he gets him right. He gets that sort of jaded knight, or I think Chandler described him as a knight without armor, and that's pretty much what he is in this thing. He doesn't want to hurt anybody, but he's also he has a jaded side, and he has a kind of a tough side, which comes out later. Anyway, Marlowe traces the Mexican guys to the Carbata Club, and or Bernie Olds did that, actually, rather, and tells Marlowe that he should go in and see what he can find out. Marlowe confronts the character Floyd Hansen, who offers him a drink, and Marlowe immediately said, because he doesn't have one with him, Marlowe suspects that he's trying to poison him. He takes the drink and he pours it out in a plant, but he pretends that he drank it, and then he passes out as if he's dropped dead. Hansen said, well, who were you? You were just some stupid little private detective poking your nose around and things, and look at you, now you're dead. And he's dragged by two henchmen down into the basement. Lou Hendricks is being tortured, and Cedric has been restrained. The two Mexican guys that we saw earlier looking for La Serena have been murdered. Their bodies are just kind of slumped there. And there's a fish tank, and Hendricks, they're going to torture. Hansen asks one of his henchmen to slice off Hendricks's ears. And he says, no, I'll tell you. He says, tell me who's Serena. He says, not Serena, La Serena. La Serena is the mermaid that's in the fish tank, which we saw in Nico Peterson's car in Tijuana. And that's where the drugs are hidden. There's a gun battle, and I should have mentioned Cedric always carries a Thompson submachine gun with him. And Hendricks is Marlowe unlocks Cedric. Says if I unlock, he knocks out one of the henchmen that has the keys to the handcuffs that he's in, and says, if I let you out, will you help me? He says, you're damn right I will. He lets him out, and then he takes the submachine gun, and Hendricks is threatening Cedric now because he says, he tells him where the fish tank is, and he shoots Floyd Hansen. Hansen was standing in front of the fish tank. So the fish tank explodes, and the statue is shattered by the rounds from the Thompson. and destroyed, and there was cocaine in it, and it's all destroyed. And now Hendricks is angry, says, you owe me a lot of money now. You cost me, and I'm going to have to take it out of you. And he says, that's not fair. And he said, well, as a son of a sharecropper, you should know that life's not fair. And Cedric says, yes, sir, you're right. Life's not fair. And he blasts him with the Tommy gun, which I thought was great. And then Marlowe goes back home, and Nico Peterson is waiting for him. He admits that the person who died was just a musician who looked like him. And he arranged, he wanted to look like he was dead. And he asks Marlowe to arrange with Claire to meet him at the prop house at this motion picture studio, which is also owned by this guy, Senator O'Reilly. And he meets Cavendish and tries to, and tells her that, Nico is alive, and that has asked her to meet him at the prop house. Of course, he follows him, and Cedric is with him. And they get there, but a little bit too late. Peterson reveals to Cavendish that he has all these records in a briefcase of every drug transaction that involved the studio and O'Reilly, and if it was revealed, it would destroy his reputation. He wouldn't be, ambassador to England. And she shoots him, and then takes the records and throws them on top of him and sets them all on fire, including himself, including Nico. She burns him, and Marlowe realized that the real reason she wanted him to find Peterson was so she could kill him and make sure he was dead. And Marlowe takes the gun and says, don't worry, I'll get rid of this. You get out of here. And acts like he's still acting in her interests. Later on, it turns out that she has now been appointed head of vice president of the studio, and she's trying to reconcile with her mother. But and her mother, Jessica Lange, Dorothy Quincannon, I should say, offers Marlowe a job as the head of security for the studio, but instead he recommends Cedric. And as sort of security, he gives Cedric Cavendish's gun, which she shot Nico with. So if she tries to pull any shit on him, he has blackmail over her. I thought that was really good. The soundtrack was good. Like I said, the set decorations, even though it wasn't in Los Angeles or quote unquote Bay City, it looks like Los Angeles. The story is a little convoluted, as I said, and I didn't tell you everything, so there's still stuff that I didn't reveal in there. Mitchell Molden plays Joseph O'Reilly. I thought he was pretty good. And there were a couple of other, minor characters that don't really, merit mention. Like the only other character, Richard Cavendish, was played by Patrick Muldoon. He's really kind of a nothing. He doesn't really do anything. He's just a place marker, sort of. Barcelona is where it was shot. I'm sorry, not the outside series. The Los Angeles scenes were in Barcelona. The interior scenes were shot in Dublin. And the maker of the film cited Blade Runner as an influence. He said, I'm making LA in the past, but somehow it's a science fiction film. It was a good reference for the designers and the camera team. So he used that. And let me get you I didn't tell you the name of the director or the writers. It was directed by Neil Jordan, and it was written by William Monahan and Neil Jordan, like I said, based on the book The Black-Eyed Blonde by Benjamin Black, who is in reality John Banville. That's just his pen name. One of his pen. I think he has a couple of them. Benjamin Black. I thought it was good. I thought, like I said, Jessica Lange does her usual consummate job. Diane Kruger was very good. Liam Neeson was fantastic as Marlowe, I thought. And Colm Meaney, whom most people know as Miles O'Brien from Star Trek Deep Space Nine, is Bernie Olds, and I thought he did a good job too. Overall, really an excellent film, and I do highly recommend it. Marlowe from 2022.